It's good for going out walking, and if we swim in the sea, it has to be before 8 a.m. and it's very, very cold.
Why is that before 8 a.m.?
Because the beaches are closed. That's when the lifeguards come on duty.
Okay. Like the lifeguards come to make sure there's nobody in the water.
Right.
Okay.
Clear everyone out, yes. So they're okay if it's before that. It's like a kind of unofficial agreement that as long as you're out by the time they come, that's fine.
So you're a bit like what we've got here. Don't gather with too many people. Only if, groceries, pharmacy. Don't go into anyone else's home.
It's a bit like that, yes.
Yeah. Well, one can get used to that.
Yes. I think Jan is here now. Sawadika, Jan.
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคน
Hi, Sita, Kun Nopadam.
Good. I don't know where the rest of the North Americans are. I think they will appear. Maybe does somebody else want to start, have a question or a comment?
Zita.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, สวัสดีค่ะท่านอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ
You often say that we one word at a time, because I know, with our questions about Dhamma, it all comes rolling out, but one word at a time, and I find that very helpful. And I'm wondering, would you also apply that to conventional life?
Because you see that there's no understanding of anything at all when there's no hearing about the truth of this moment. And if we don't understand this moment, what's the use? There cannot be the understanding of anything at all. That's why what is real now and not known as it is should be discussed and learn to understand the truth of it. This is the most precious moment to understand that life is now, just now. If there's not this moment, there cannot be any life at all. But what is life? It's there now, which appears through different ways. For example, now, there is seeing and hearing, and they're gone, completely unknown. So the understanding of the truth has to be of what is now as it is. For example, there's no understanding about seeing at all. Never understand that it is that which arises, otherwise it cannot be there. And when it arises, it now sees, which means the reality which can experience what is there as it is. At moment of hearing, there's no seeing. It cannot be seeing. Hearing just arises just to hear the sound, and then all gone. Everything gone from moment to moment, never to return in samsara completely, permanently. I mean that always like that. It cannot arise again. God is gone forever. See, who knows? But the idea of that which appears with ignorance, because what appears as sign, nimitta, of that which is taken for something all the time because of ignorance. To understand that ignorance is at this very moment is so very useful. Otherwise, we don't know what we are learning for, to understand the truth, to eliminate the wrong understanding of self or of things, because actually nothing. Why? Because before anything arises, there's nothing. That thing does not arise yet. But when something is there, it has to arise by conditions. Even right now, no one can make it arise at all. It's there already by conditions. Who knows that that is not permanent at all. It just appears and disappears, unknown, until the work of the teachings bring about the understanding of what is there as it is. And when it's right understanding, it eliminates ignorance and attachment, clinging to that as something little by little. That's why even the word letting go should be studied one word at a time. What is meant by letting go? The understanding of something all the time, gradually letting go by panya. Panya let go that wrong understanding and ignorance little by little. So understanding the teachings of the Buddha, when it's very subtle, it means that no other moment, but only this moment can be studied and understand it little by little as it is, which is very, very difficult because there is the accumulation of the idea of self and ignorance of that and attachment clinging to that so great and so long before. So it takes time, and it has to be from the very beginning, understanding what we are talking about, that which is there as it is, no one there, nothing there, and it's gone all the time. What is left is only the nimitta of everything in life. To consider whether it's true or not, little by little, and the moment of understanding is so precious, but it can eliminate little by little of ignorance and attachment, and how much it is before it can be completely all of them gone. When Panya develops, which means understanding that which appears. Otherwise, when it's not the understanding of that which appears, it's only in the book. But the book talks about many things and learn about nothing, just this and that. But what is learned is now to understand the truth of that which appears. But it's so very, very difficult because we haven't accumulated enough understanding to condition the moment of understanding that what Buddha taught is what about now, which hasn't known before. And it begins to develop by hearing until it doesn't go away, move away from this moment. And what is appearing now is the object of understanding as we have learned, little by little, and understanding that no one, which means nothing can do, no one at all, but the conditions for its arising there at this moment of hearing. Who knows how many kinds of realities arise together and perform their function, unknowingly all the time. That's why Buddha taught about each one. See, each one as it is. So each word conveys the meaning of that reality as just one and then gone forever. See? And this is the faculty of the study of the teachings. What for is very important from the very beginning to understand what? That which is now appearing. Otherwise, the destination or the goal or the way to understand doesn't bring about the understanding of this moment. Just go away from this morning to this and that all the time by hearing and considering and thinking only about it without understanding that each word can bring about the understanding of what Buddha said about now. Like what is seen has to arise too, and the seeing arises and see it, only that. But so many things around with thought, thinking all the time about this and that. So how much ignorance in a day or in a moment, from moment to moment. See, that is why the wise attention, the wise listening, considering of the teachings, the point of why he taught is just to understand that which no one can understand as it is, because it does not stay long, but it arises and falls away and form up the idea of shape and form and things all around from life to life. That's why learning the teaching just to eliminate the idea of self little by little until it's completely eradicated forever, nevermore, no conditions for its arising. So now this moment of understanding is conditioned to bring about the moment of understanding the truth of it, not just from hearing, but it develops to the moment of it's there, just what it's there now. See, that which is heard is now appearing, that which is seen is now appear. See, and the sound is heard. So what about the understanding of life, of this moment, as different realities? See, and it goes very normally, as usual. So it's not wrong because it's as usual. No idea to make it something different, as we have to do this or we have to do that in order to understand this moment. That's wrong because it's impossible not understand what is meant by Dhamma. See, Dhamma is Dhamma. Dhamma is not anyone. Seeing. It cannot be any person or anything at all. Just arises by condition and is gone completely. No one can bring it back at all. It's gone forever, from life to life, from moment to moment. And this is true. That can be directly studied with the direct awareness, conditioned by panya, which understands the way or the path to lead to understand this moment. And this is the point of just study just one word at a time, Dhamma. See, it means that are we acquainted or used to the understanding it as not self, because it's at Dhamma. Just one word, see, but how much ignorance about it, no understanding the truth. That's why there are so many words to explain the truth. Otherwise, without the enlightenment of the Buddha, of his great body of wisdom, great wisdom, virtues, so great that he experienced, developed, and enlightened the truth. That's why he is the Samma Sambuddha. From understanding each word, it conditioned the respect to the truth, never change, and be patient, and with all other kusala, to eradicate all akusala, which has been accumulated years and years and years ago. See, everything is so natural, normal, conditioned, the understanding. That is not self, it cannot be a thing. Proud is proud, ego is ego, mana is mana, lopa is lopa. Each one is different now, but it can be learned little by little from understanding only. That's why don't do anything. It doesn't mean that I've asked anyone or forbid anyone to do anything, but the teachings is that there. So each word must be understood as no one can do, but without this hearing, considering very wisely, it's impossible to understand the value of the teaching of the Buddha, to understand this moment as it is, as not self. Otherwise, we just think about different words that how can it not be self or something on and on and on. But the point is not how much we learned about, just to understand what is there now until it conditions the understanding directly at this moment of that which is now appearing. Because what is appearing now is forgotten all the time. Never think about it, but think about other things. That's why from understanding little by little, it can bring about the understanding of this moment by conditions of understanding that it's now at this very moment. So we heard about many, many words like ayatana and so on. It's now. And at that moment of understanding that nature, the characteristic of that which is different, that which is seen is not that which sees right now. Nothing are there at all. Only that. At moment of seeing, there must be just seeing, arising, see. And that cannot be taken with someone because it's their conditions now, all the time. And this is the point. And it is the right understanding of the subtlety of the path leading to understand the Ariya Satya. It has to be so natural with Khanti and Virya and Satya and Adidana and Nekama as well, because it's the letting go of the wrong understanding and attachment, little by little. Otherwise, we just learn the teachings like we learn some subject about this and that, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and so on. But what for? To consider that it's not self. So from the word Dhamma and the word Anatta can be conditioned for studying correctly, wisely, to understand this moment now as it is, as what is learned by way of ayatana or dhatu or paticcasamuppada. No name, but they are different by different aspects to understand it, so that there can be less and less clinging to that as self. The point is to understand it, to understand this very moment as it is. Otherwise, it will not condition the moment of direct awareness with direct understanding. No word at all. Because at moment of thinking, it's not moment of seeing or direct awareness of that characteristic which cannot, there is no word in it. The word is not there, but there can be thinking after, and there can be there everything very natural, which hasn't been the object of understanding yet, will begin to appear to be the object of understanding by anotherness, no selection to understand just breath or whatever is taught, but to understand the anotherness, no matter who says what. It's anatta, see? And the anotherness is not of the others, but of this moment of understanding what is there now. One word at a time, see? Dhamma, anatta, seeing, hearing.
John, you go ahead, Sarah.
And they are all different to each other. And during the day, there's often some reminders. I'm thinking about what I've heard. And so, I mean, it's just on the thinking level, but it's very beneficial. And sometimes the thoughts just roll on. And sometimes, yes, there's a moment of touching something hard or seeing it. And there's the thought, it is just the touch of hardness, or it is just a visible object. So, Ajahn?
That is the advance of the development of understanding, see. There's never been thinking of it at all before, but after hearing a lot, there can be a moment of thinking, see. Otherwise, we think about other things all the time. Thinking is real because it thinks, and the object which thinking thinks about at that moment is conditioned for thinking such and such by memory, see. So on graph now, when there's no understanding, so very complex, full of everything together, like I don't know, to say the lump of that which is like a thread. It's so very, very difficult to just have just one at a time. To what we are, not as a lump, great one, but one tiny thing can be drawn out to see that actually it's so very difficult to find out what is the beginning and what is the end. In Thai I can speak, but in English it's very difficult, but I try to say that which are together like a lump of thread. See, when you try to pick out not to have it as a lump anymore. It's so very difficult and so sticky because the paste is there to make it more difficult. See? The thinking and whatever from moment to moment without understanding condition more difficulty of understand the truth as it is. But from hearing and understanding one word at a time, it begin to know what is what there in order to draw it out from that which is altogether mixed. Very, very difficult, so sticky.
I think we can refer, John, to like a ball of thread that is so tangled up together, and each thread has to be taken out one by one and examined carefully to untangle the ball of thread.
Achan's a very good example, because I've been doing some sewing and I'm coming up with a lot of knots and trying to find the end. It was a good example. Thank you.
But
It reminds
much more than that, because you see, all are different dhammas, and that which is the Dhamma is very difficult to know what is what. Just try to draw out.
And the
So
Buddha
would
talked
you
about the
liken
tangles, the big tangle.
Would you liken that not to avijja, ignorance?
See, so even the word can be understood, the truth, little by little, and one knows that it's not a direct understanding yet. So when there's no direct awareness, with understanding which has developed enough to be direct awareness right at that moment, it's just very little, because it does not appear as arising and falling away yet, to let go the idea of permanent, the permanent thing. That's why this is Khanti and Virya, not known as it is, because when one knows that actually there's no one, what are there? See, many things, little by little, learning just to understand. And so when it's there, only one reality can be understood. Different ones, naturally, so natural. Otherwise, it cannot be the panya which can letting go that wrong understanding as something and I. How much it is. So it takes quite a long, long time. But panya is there. It knows directly, clearly, how much understanding, see. So one doesn't go wrong. But there can be the silapata pramasa as long as there is the wrong view, which has been accumulated a lot, so great, unknowingly as well. Like now, see, after hearing about after seeing 3 moments of citta has fallen away, it's there, see. So who knows how many processes now, and what is there in each process, until it's so great enough to be known as like or dislike, when it's strong enough. That's why panya is like that, very little in the beginning, but it can develop on and on with no attachment. Little, just very little. At moment when panya is there, sattha, it means that no akusala cetasikas with that moment at all. It's so natural until it's there, so natural by conditions. One begins to have more confidence on anatta, no one, no self, who can do or who make it arise.
Can we say that until there is direct understanding of a Dhamma as a Dhamma, what is there is thinking about a concept of a Dhamma or the story of Dhamma?
It's just like now there is reality and there is thinking a lot. See, there is seeing and there is thinking, not of seeing or the understanding of seeing. There's hardness, no hardness appear as object until it's there with understanding. That is direct awareness. Because everyone knows it's hard, but only that, and then keep on thinking about other things. Just touch and then gone, and then thinking about what has been accumulated as something or I all the time. So after hearing and understanding, there are conditions, no matter what, which has been developed or learned before. So at moment of touching, there can be the understanding of it's hard, and it's not just been said out, it's hard at all. But the understanding is there, little by little, because usually when there's touching, no understanding, no thinking, even thinking about it as it is. But after hearing, at moment of touching, at that very moment, the idea, which is not being said loudly about the idea, but it's there before as something, it's not anything because it's hard. See, only that understanding is there, little by little. So natural, because it's hard, all right, but the understanding is not anything, it's not that yet, because someone hasn't heard about it at all. So no understanding of hardness there. But for those who have learned and have some level of understanding, which is not as we think, because of much understanding from hearing and considering, the conventional, the intellectual understanding, see, it's there. But it's conditioned moment of touching, it's there. Just a little bit of thinking or understanding the hardness as a reality. Because when it's a reality, it is different from other reality by its nature. No thinking about whether it's hard, it's different from seeing. But the characteristics of these two are different. No thought about it as it's different because it is different by itself. And Panya learns to understand different ones, even no thinking that they are different, but its characteristic which appears is different. That's why it brings about understanding the nature, the reality, the truth, not the word. So the past is as subtle as the other Ariya Satya, because Ariya Satya is very subtle, and Samudaya, attachment, clinging at this moment, is subtle because no one knows, because of it's there most of the time. And the third one, see, and the path leading to that has to be so subtle that people cannot understand it as it is so natural. So they have the Sanak Patibat, see, meditation center and so on, and no understanding at all. And that's why it destroyed the teaching. No one understands the word of the Buddha. How deep, how subtle, how profound, because it's there all the time, arising and falling away. That is the truth that we learn from the very beginning. What arises falls away, and they are anatta because no one at all, no one can make it arise. Only conditions of life and world keep on going non-stop by conditions until Panya is there. Little by little, it can condition the moment of letting go until completely, absolutely gone the idea of self and seeing See, so naturally like now, just like now. That's why that which appear only can be understood, not that one try to have something arise to be object of understanding. It's wrong, because what is now is so true. That's absolute truth. That's why after hearing a lot of reality, it's there now. See, beginning to understand it is now. So close that it can be object of understanding when there are conditions only. And Panya knows the difference, learning and understanding the word, so many words, many aspects, to understand this. So by knowing this, one knows the point of hearing and considering many different ways, aspects of reality. By Buddha, his great virtues of compassion to understand. He knew that without his words, it's impossible for anyone to understand the truth. And this is the way to really respect the Buddha, his great virtues, compassion for everyone, able to understand the truth, not right directly just now. It develops little by little. So until it's great enough to understand and let go whatever is object of clinging daily life. Now, so from understanding the different level of panya, the intellectual understanding, which will condition the higher understanding, even it's different from the intellectual understanding, but it's the beginning of the second level, patipatti, direct awareness, to understand the difference, which it's not the intellectual understanding. But without intellectual understanding, there cannot be any understanding of the reality which is now appear. That's why in the beginning of the direct awareness arises a lot of panya that can condition the movement of direct awareness. But when it's there, it's just begin to understand the truth. See, it has to develop on and on and on and on with detachment and no one ignorance. Even one knows that it's so true that there is no one, but the idea of self so very deeply that it's there. And then when panya, which arises with the moment of direct awareness, it just understands the characteristic which is no self, but not strong enough yet because it's only the beginning. And even when it is vipassana, the first one is not strong enough, see, like the moment of direct awareness in the beginning. That's why without the parami, it's impossible. Chitta is full of akusala, unknown, the moha, mula chitta, the lopa, mula chitta. See, dosa, mula chitta, even is there. The characteristic is just that. But it's me, see, no matter what, it's me. But actually, no one. It's just a moment when it's there. So very, very little or tiny that no one can know. Rolls on very fast, very quickly. So how can there be the understanding of the absolute behind the scene? But the understanding from hearing the teachings, depending on how wise it is to know that what for, just to have less attachment of self. And the other kilesa can be they can be understood of its not benefit at all. It's useless. Why do we have such and such akusla, see, which is hard and more difficult to let go the idea of self. All depends on wise considering about the truth of it, and know that it cannot be gone forever as long as there's no understanding. It can be just very temporary for some moments only when there are conditions enough for dana, for sila, and for panya. When there's no hearing of the truth at all, and the point of studying it, it doesn't make anything better, because it's still the idea of self which knows or study, not to let go, see, but to have more. That's why lopa is the second noble truth. And this is only thinking about different realities while they are as they are arising and falling away now unknown. That's why the teachings brings about the understanding of each reality as it is. Not just to know very little about each one. Impossible to understand the truth directly. Not enough. That's why learning with the understanding of no one there at all, not me, can bring more understanding of the unness. It has to begin with understanding at level of intellectual understanding. No I. Saying it cannot be I. On and on. It can lead to the understanding of this movement when it's there right now. Otherwise, lopa and the akusa takes the moment to be not now, from at the moment of now to the other things. And this is so true in life. That's why at the moment of understanding the truth of each reality, it can bring about the understanding, it's not me. We don't have to say that, but the understanding at that moment can lead to understanding that it's not me, little by little, until it can lead to more understanding as with direct awareness, which is different from now. There is the wholesome cetasikas, but not known as it is, one by one, at moment of direct awareness. It just opened up the truth of this moment as it is. Void of self, there is nothing, only that which is conditioned, rising and falling away unexpectedly. No one can make it rise as one wants to. So, yes.
Lopa. If lopa can be the object of understanding, is it?
Say that again, please.
I'm sorry?
Say it again, please.
Oh, yes. Can lopa be the object? Lopa, as I understand it, can be the object of understanding, or dosa.
So, if there is no understanding of lopa, how can there be the moment of letting go lopa as a self?
There can't. There can't.
So much to be learned to know more about the past and the truth.
Right.
And considering, see, that which is not be the object, can that be object of letting go
No.
as nothing or no me? So that's why just understanding that which appears, not trying to find out that which is not there, appearing.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible. That is moha, and we see idea of self again.
Yes.
all there in there.
Right. Is it the nimitta of lopa that appears?
And I cannot hear so well because it's not clear. The sound is not clear. Please say it again.
Yes, yes. Is it the nimitta of lopa which appears?
We talk about lopa, but lopa is there at moment of thinking about anything, right?
Yes.
See, when it does not appear, thinking about it is useless. But that which appears should be the object of understanding and letting go, so that Panya will know better about that which appears until Lopa, which hasn't been appearing as object, will become the object of Panya.
Mm.
And it must be the nimitta of Loba which appears, because when Loba arises, there cannot be understanding at that moment. So it's always the nimitta of Loba, not just one moment of Loba, but the nimitta of many moments of Loba that have risen and fallen away, the sign of the Loba which is understood.
That's what I had understood. And then I guess I misunderstood something that was said a few weeks ago. Because that's right. One moment cannot be known. It would have to be the nimitta. And the same for other jetasikas.
The characteristic of Loba, the sign of the characteristic of Loba, and any reality.
Right, right. Well, I misheard recently, so I wanted
It's good to keep checking and clarifying when it's
Yes.
And for
Yes.
those who came later in the discussion, just to get back to Azita's original question, Azita asked a question at the beginning with about one word at a time and applying this in conventional life. And I would like to ask Azita what she means. What do you mean by applying it in conventional life? Or does it, you said, does it apply in conventional life? What do you mean by does it apply in conventional life? What is conventional life?
I thought I would be picked up on this one by Sarah. Actually, I was thinking I jump from one thing to another. You know, I'll forget what I'm doing and I'm forever going on. And I thought, if I could apply that one word at a time to conventional life, maybe I wouldn't keep on forgetting stuff and being disorganized. So it was just a thought.
Isn't that like a conventional idea of mindfulness and focusing on one activity at a time? Isn't it the idea of I that can focus or just do one thing at a time or not be forgetful, like Lucas often asks about, rather than just understanding whatever appears no matter how life goes?
You're right, Sarah, and I had been thinking like that to a degree, and I'm glad Achan went on with the discussion or the talk that she gave. I found that very, very beneficial. So yes, I might forget about that conventional life, one word at a time, and just
because I think like she said,
thank you.
Yes, if there's no understanding of the truth now, we always think in terms of a conventional life, moving my cup of tea and being mindful of one thing at a time, not thinking of too many things. But actually, that's all the story of self and situations. And that's why when it is the understanding of Dhamma, understanding of the truth at this moment, then no thought about how can I apply it in conventional life more and more.
Thank you.
So understanding more about realities actually answers all questions, all ideas one has about applying this, or not being so scatterbrained, or not being so forgetful, or how to change my life, or how to have more kusala, all these things. And it comes back to Anne's question about Loba. I mean, Loba is here even at those moments of thinking, how can I apply it, or how can it change my conventional life? It's actually Loba talking, and especially clinging to self at those moments, I think. Roti, I don't know if you're listening at the moment, but talking about conventional life and concepts, you've been asking questions about concepts not existing and how there can be experience of that which doesn't exist and so on. And we've had a bit of discussion. Anything else you would like to discuss on that topic?
Hello, Sarah. Thank you.
Roti. Nice to hear you.
Yeah, nice to see you. No, I have nothing to discuss because I'm not feeling very well. I went out bicycling last night and I think I got a cold. So I'm just kind of lying in bed and kind of listening a little bit. Once on and off, yeah.
Well, it's good that you can listen to Dhamma while you're not feeling well anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope you get better soon.
Sorry?
Hope you get better soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Better with Dhamma reminders, and then one can forget about being sick at those times.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Tadao, do you have anything today? You often have some very good things to discuss.
Yeah, I have a question to Kunsuchin. As far as I'm concerned, the aim of practicing Buddhism is eradication of lobha, dosa, and moha. I'm wondering how this sensation of lobha and dosa and moha are related to anatta. Why is it necessary to anatta, to see anatta, in order to eradicate all the defilements? That's my question.
Is there you?
Yeah, always.
Always. And what about the truth? Is seeing you?
No,
Is hearing you?
it shouldn't be.
Is thinking you?
It shouldn't
What is
be.
the truth?
Yeah,
No one there.
yeah.
So the understanding of anatta-ness, all dhammas are anatta, including everything. So we don't have to say that, oh, this is atta. It's wrong. See, that's why to understand the reality as anatta must be more and more understood, firmer and firmer. See, and we have talked about the conventional life. What is it? See, not only the word, but what is there that we call it conventional life.
Yeah.
See, anything can be understood because the truth is there. But without thinking, ignorance is there all the time. So from birth to death, we speak the word we don't understand at all, as it is. That's why each word we talk, what about the truth of that moment? Something real, but unknown all the time. Even right now, or before just one reality can be object of direct understanding of its nature as not self. Before that moment, we talk about seeing is not self. It's so very easy from learning, hearing, and understanding it. It cannot be taken for self because it's just seeing, it's just hearing. But the truth of it is there to be understood more and more subtle. It's there. See, what is seen, what's the meaning of that word? It means that what is seen is there at the moment of seeing. See, when it does not appear, can it be object of understood that its nature cannot be anything else? It is only that which is seen. So what is meant by that which is seen? Not a book, not a thing, but just that very short moment of seeing arising is there as it is seen.
And
so it's conventional life. We talk about that, but what is the truth of it? What is there?
yeah, we do not see anatta.
That's why from hearing and considering, one knows how much there is understanding of that. See?
And I have another question, a related question. That is, seeing anatta in realities, does such panya arise before the nama rupa paricheda jnana or after the nama rupa paricheda jnana?
That's why we study Dhamma by way of processes, but it cannot be in that one process or same process. So, because the process of the sense thought process, the idol, the only that which is seen is the object seen. So the process of panya is after what appears, which arises and falls away all the time, but it cannot be the same process of seeing. It has to be later, after the seeing arises and falls away, and what appears is just the nimitta of that which is seen. But panya begins to understand seeing as that which sees or experiences an object. It cannot be known. We can talk about it, but the real characteristic, which is not self, which is arising, it's not that which is seen. The seeing is not that which is seen. Only when seeing is the object, and that which is seen is not the object. So Panya knows what object is there. And after that can be doubt, not sure, because as long as all akusala hasn't been eradicated yet, there must be condition for the arising of any kind of akusala. See? That's why Panya has to develop to the degree that it has less and less doubt about what appears.
Suppose that there are a series of seeing and occurrence of the visual objects, yeah? And when these visual objects become the adamana of panya, yeah? What triggers the occurrence of such high level of panya which sees anatta in realities?
Without intellectual understanding, can there be understanding of anything better and better and better until it is the understanding of the characteristic of that one characteristic?
And to Tao, even when the intellectual understanding begins to develop and develops on and on, it has to be the understanding of Loba, which you mentioned, or dosa, or seeing, or visible object, or any reality as it is, which is as anatta. No thing there that is seen, no one who is seeing, just a Dhamma which experiences, or a Dhamma which is experienced at this moment. And so it is the wise considering that conditions deeper understanding, that conditions direct understanding, which is satipatthana, beginning to directly understand the reality as it is, as Dhamma. And this has to develop before understanding of Vipassana Jnana, which clearly understands the reality one at a time. So it's deeper and deeper and deeper from the beginning. So it has to be the beginning of understanding Dhammas now as anatta, right from the very start. Otherwise, it's just thinking about my Loba. It's not the beginning of understanding Loba as a Dhamma, which is Buddha's teaching.
So, Sarah, are you saying that even beginners can have panya, which sees anatta as anatta in reality?
Like even if someone is completely new to the discussion now, and maybe in this beginning of hearing and considering that it is just seeing which sees now, no one who sees at all, no eye that can do anything, nothing that is seen, just that which is visible. This is the very beginning of understanding what is meant by Dhamma. And what is meant by Dhamma is that no one or no thing is there. It is anatta. So no matter whether the word is used or not, it has to be that beginning of understanding from the very start to grow like a seed that is planted for wise considering that there are just different moments of experiencing in life. No one who experiences anything. And there are just different rupas that are experienced through the sense doors now. Just hardness that is touched, no thing, nothing there. That is the beginning of understanding what is meant by anatta. Hardness is just that tangible object, nothing in it at all. So it has to grow and deeper, but it has to be right from the beginning, because if it's the wrong understanding from the beginning that I see, I hear, I can focus on an object, I can apply it in my life, or I can do something, then it just leads more and more in the wrong way, no matter how much of the Tipitaka we've read.
When there is the understanding, intellectual or otherwise, of the conditioned nature, the realities that are arising at the present moment, that is also the beginning of understanding of anatta. It doesn't have to be specifically in terms of not me, no self, but just the fact that realities arise by conditions is the beginning of the understanding that there is no control over those realities, no self we can control.
So that's the point of having the discussion and the listening and the consideration from the very beginning, in order right from the start to begin to consider for the first time in life that there are just dhammas. So no matter we call it conventional life or real life or whatever, actually there are just dhammas.
And such a high level of panya, can see not only anatta as anatta, but dukkha as dukkha and anicca as anicca. So there is no selection. One cannot select which characteristic of the Dhamma may appear.
If there's no understanding now of Dhamma, of seeing, for example, now which sees, how can there ever be understanding of the arising of seeing or the falling away of seeing? And if there's no understanding of the arising and falling of seeing, how can there ever be understanding of the unsatisfactoriness of seeing now, or the unsatisfactoriness of what is seen now? So the understanding has to develop. I mean, right from the beginning, there can be the beginning of considering that whatever arises now doesn't last an instant. So it's the beginning of wise considering, but the direct understanding of arising and falling away of reality cannot be there. There cannot be that level of clear understanding if there's not been the clear understanding of Dhamma, of seeing or visible object. And there can't be the clear understanding of the unsatisfactoriness or the danger of realities if there hasn't been a direct understanding of the impermanence of reality.
Are not entirely separate and different from each other, so that when one characteristic is understood, then it is also supporting the understanding of the other characteristics. But I think that, as you said, it's a matter of which particular characteristic is predominant at any given time. It is something that happens by conditions, so cannot be chosen. But it is the characteristic of not self that is ultimately the most distinct and unique part of the Buddhist teaching.
Yeah. Sarah, you said that some kind of understanding which sees anatta as anatta in realities from the very beginning.
Like now, hardness that is touched now. Is it something? Is there a leg? Is there a table? Is there a computer? Or it's just that characteristic of hardness that appears at this moment? So it doesn't matter whether we use the word hardness, whether we use the word anatta or anything else, but actually there can be the beginning of understanding right from the beginning that it's just that tangible object that is touched at this moment, the hardness or the heat, just the tangible object, nothing there, no arm, no leg, no computer, no table, no one at all.
But that seems to be yoniso manasikara.
Yes.
That is not panya. And as far as we are not able to see nama and rupa, how is it possible to have such high level of panya which sees anatta as anatta?
Because from the beginning, even at a moment of wise considering, when there is wise considering, it is yoniso manasikara at that moment, and panya is there, however weak, beginning to consider wisely for a moment what is touched now, what is heard now. It's only sound, no car in the sound, no people, no voices in the sound. It's just sound that is heard for a moment. But because the understanding is weak, there's bound to be doubt and question and taking it for this sound or that sound or my sound that is experienced. But at the moment of wise considering, panya is there, considering wisely what the truth of life really is at this very moment. And this is the beginning of understanding what is rupa. It's just the sound, just that which is heard. It doesn't experience anything. There's nothing in it. It's just that reality, different from the hearing which experiences sound. The nama, which has that characteristic of experiencing.
So are you saying that even such a low level of panya has its own merit?
Panya has to develop and it has to accumulate. So that's the point of having the discussion, so that there are conditions without anyone trying to do anything for wise considering and for Panya to begin to understand that there are just these different namas and rupas with different qualities, because the rupas cannot experience anything at all. And that's all life is. When we talk about conventional life, there is nothing more in conventional life than just different realities. So there's no difference between real life and conventional life, because whatever we're talking about, like at the very beginning before the discussion started, people were chatting about COVID in different countries. We can call this conventional language, but even when talking about conventional topics, there are just moments of seeing, moments of hearing, moments of thinking about different concepts, different ideas. So it's still the truth of life at this very moment. No separation at all. Or when reading the newspaper or turning on the television, still just seeing and hearing and thinking different realities. Each one conditioned, each one falling away instantly, each one anatta. So the beginning of considering what is meant by Dhamma, what is meant by Dhamma, which is anatta, has to begin now and now and now. So it develops on and on. And so, yeah.
Thank you.
Good points to bring up and clarify.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sarah, I mean, we know that conditioned dhammas are anatta because they're dhammas, and nibbana is anatta because it's a dhamma. But we also hear that concepts are anatta. How is that?
Well, we hear that all dhammas are anatta because no one controls them. They are just different realities. Concepts, we can say it's anatta because it's not atta, that's all. So it's not, concepts are not realities, but sound or the word sound or the word television, there's no one there. So it's anatta in the sense that it's not atta, even though it's not referring to anatta nature of reality. It just means there's never a self to be found, no matter what is thought about, no matter what life is at this moment, whether it's seeing or thinking or visible objects experienced or panyati is experienced. No atta that can be found at all. Were you about to say something, Tam?
No, but I think yesterday Hang was wondering about something in the Paticca Samuppada. So I don't know whether she wants to ask that question now, maybe. Are you there, Hang? Actually, yes.
Hi, yes.
Okay.
According to the Paticca Samuppada, I'm wondering that from the Sankhara condition, the Vijnana, So as I learned from the explanation about the vijnana, including the Patisandhi Chitta and Vipaka Chitta. So I'm wondering the Vipaka Chitta, including the Ahetuka and Sahetuka Chitta, is it correct?
I think it can include any Vipaka Chittas, but I think it's particularly referring to the karma that has conditioned rebirth and other Vipaka Chittas, that karma which doesn't just condition birth, but also all the Bhavanga Chittas, but any Vipaka Chittas.
I see. So the Vipaka Chitta, including the Chuti Chitta and
yes, because the karma that conditions the Patisandhi Chitta also conditions the Bhavanga Chittas and Chuti Chitta in that life, so all included. But in the text, it refers to the Patisandhi Chitta, but it means the Patisandhi Chitta and all Vipaka Chittas.
Thank you. It's clear now. Yeah. Thank you.
And then the vijnana here, referring to those Vipaka Chittas, conditions the nama rupa, but here the nama rupa refers to the chaitasikas arising with those Vipaka Chittas, also conditioned by karma, and the rupas conditioned by karma, which arise at the moment of birth, for example, and other rupas conditioned later by karma.
Thank you. Yeah, it's clear now.
I think in the sutta, somewhere the Buddha says, I consciousness, I sense, and visible object. The meeting of the three is contact. So I would like to hear more about your comments about this way of describing contact.
I think it's when we understand about ayatanas, it's easier to read and follow the suttas no matter what the translation or the wording is. So when visible object impinges on the eye sense, because of phassa contacting that object, seeing consciousness arises. So the phassa is a condition for seeing. And again, we know from our studies, the phassa arises together with seeing. It's not phassa and then seeing, it arises together. But it depends on what phassa contacts, what visible object phassa contacts at that moment, as to whether seeing arises, or if phassa contacts sound, then hearing arises. So phassa is a condition for seeing or hearing or whatever chitta it is, even though it arises together with it. But perhaps Ajahn would like to add more on those two questions.
Okay. Is the Paticca now?
I think these are questions for Hung.
And then we come to this moment of phassa. See, we talk about the word Paticca. What's the meaning? What does it mean? What is the as Paticca? Is it now? This should be considered in order to really understand what's meant by Paticca. Otherwise, it's only in the book. But is this moment there, Paticcasamuppada, or no?
It is.
Pardon?
It is
It is?
now, Ajahn.
Okay, so what Paticcasamuppada is now?
Ignorance is now,
And what?
and eye conscious, seeing, hearing, seeing visible object, hearing, sound.
Well, Paticcasamuppada is now, Phassa is now, everything is now, not in the book. That's why to understand that what is seeing, see, how come to condition its arising? Without avijja, without the sankhara as karma, can there be seeing right now? And without birth, can there be ayatana? See, and when we talk about phassa, there is different reality one at a time. For example, how many realities are there now? See, we can think about it. That is thinking about that which appears many, many things, not only one thing. And it's there, but when there's no seeing, can anything appear as that which is seen? See, that which experience arises and falls away, and the thing around just arises and falls away. And how come to be seen without a reality which contact the Dhamma, that reality contact the object, then seeing arises with it instantly together as soon as it arises in contact. The experiences, the seeing is there right then. See, you cannot say that phassa is a moment ago or is there and seeing is different one, not now at moment of phassa. See, no matter how the comparison simile, see that the two hands, different ones away. That which is seen as different things is not the experiencing, but to experience it, that which arises in experience, it needs a reality which contact it. The Dhamma, that which can contact, arise with citta. So whatever phassa contact citta, experience that only with phassa, not the other object, but only when phassa contact on that. The reality which experiences that is there together with phassa. See, can that be understood of what is meant by phassa? Because citta experiences different objects. How come to experience such and such object? It depends on phassa, whether it contacts what. So citta, which arises with it, experience that, which contacts in each moment. And this brings about the understanding of no one at all. Because citta, which experiences, cannot be anyone. It arises to experience. And without contact, how come to experience such different things, one at a time? Because of contact, context, what object citta experiences with contact together, arising together, experience the same object. Can that be known or understood little by little? That actually no one there at all. And without phassa, citta cannot experience such objects. So whatever citta experiences depends on phassa, cetasika. Now we begin to know we cannot select the object, no one there at all, but it depends on conditions. With the phassa contact, whatever citta experiences, just that which contacts. No one can do, because actually there's no one. That's why they are different realities. Phassa is not citta, even phassa is nama, the reality which knows, so it can contact. If it cannot experience, how can there be contact? How can be that which experiences that object, which is not self? That is the characteristic of a reality. The citta is the chief of experiencing the object, so clear in the sense of that the other cetasika does not experience as clear as citta, because citta is the chief just to experience that object. At that very moment, whenever it arises, the citta is the chief of experiencing that. And the cetasika, like phassa, contact, it cannot be the chief of experiencing, because its function is just to contact. Can contact depend on itself or by what? Can it arise without conditions? Because even phassa is anatta, Dhamma. It cannot just contact at random, but it depends on what kind of citta is conditioned to arise for contact, which is the same, vipaka, phassa, vipaka, citta, which arises with phassa, is vipaka as well. For example, seeing right now, the phassa which contacts depends on Dhamma, conditioned phassa to just contact that, because it's the result of Dhamma which has been done. It's not at random at all depends on conditions. See, without such and such condition, paticca, see, we have to understand more than just the word. Like avijja, see, not understanding anything as it is. Condition what? Taking it for something, sankhara khanda, see, not understanding as a truth. Each moment is paticca, but we don't have to say that this is avijja condition, the sankhara and so on, and sankhara condition the birth, the patisanthivinyana, and later on the vipaka. All depends on such and such and such. To understand more and more better that cannot be taken for anything, because it's there just very shortly and then gone completely. No time for anyone to do anything, because actually there's no one. They are the continuity of the arising and falling away by condition of such and such, what is now appearing. So this moment, by way of paticca samuppada, can condition the letting go of the idea of self, little by little, unknown, until the letting go appear, stage by stage, very little, very fine, not appear as so great or more that you can know it, because now it works like holding the handle knife all the time. See, is the condition, let us have more understanding of phassa as not self, not just the word phassa, context. To understand the truth, when we talk about phassa, we can talk about that characteristic by many aspects. It's that phassa at moment of enlightenment, see, and what conditions such phassa, which can phassa on the reality which is nibbana, see. Just the same, phassa is the same. Phassa function, characteristic, no matter when it arises, with kusala moment or akusala moment, with different levels of panya or ignorance. It's there. Otherwise, citta cannot experience an object without phassa. So this time is unknown about phassa and citta and everything there, until hearing about it and begin to understand the non-self, the unnothingness of whatever appears little by little. Because of the understanding of phassa, the more there is the understanding of any reality, the truth of it, it can condition the moment of letting go the idea of self. From the very beginning of hearing and understanding to the end, experiencing the regret, enlighten the truth of it, different levels, until it is the moment of Ariya Satya, to become a Sotapanna, no more ignorance about that which is there as something permanent. So is that passion now? Unknown, but only hearing about the characteristic, the truth of it, until one day, who knows, that which is object, whatever is real, by conditions. So no expectation to experience the pasa as object or whatever as object, but it's there by conditions. Unexpectedly, it hasn't come yet, so it cannot be known. What will be the object of what level of understanding or level of vipassana jnana? All shows up the anattanness, the truth of everything. By then, the understanding of anattanness becomes clearer, more and more, great enough to let go the idea of self and other kilesa later. By higher understanding. So we see that the understanding has so many levels, many degrees. The moment when there's no direct awareness yet, it's only the intellectual understanding. And without it, there cannot be any condition to understand directly what is there now, as is usual appear, because hardness appears, no understanding of it, no direct awareness of it. Just know that it's hard. So, do you know Pasha? Do you know Lopa in a day? See, the understanding can understand the question and the answer, which is the truth of it. Does anyone know Lopa in a day?
It's there, but I think most of the time it's unknown.
I mean, just know. See, the question has to be considered. What is the question about? Does anyone know Lopa? We call it Lopa. But the truth, the nature of it is what? See, we don't talk about the truth yet because we don't know the exact reality at that moment. So, does anyone know Lopa in a day? See, heard about Lopa, heard about Pasha, heard about many things, but the question is, does anyone know Lopa in a day? The answer depends on the understanding as well. To know how much understanding is there.
No, there's no one to know. Only Panya can know.
Really? Did you like anything in a day?
Yes.
But you don't have to say or call it Lopa, right?
Correct. Yes.
So it appears as it is, but not understanding it as no one and nothing.
Yeah.
Yes. See? So everything is the appearing of the truth, but no understanding at all.
Okay.
And we use the word Lopa in a day, see? But the moment of Lopa when it's there is known as Lopa, attachment, like, just simple word, like, see? But no understanding. It's there only in a moment. And it's not self, it's conditioned. See? And the truth is there to be known from hearing and considering until it's enough to condition the moment of direct understanding. By then, no doubt about what's meant by satipatthana or direct awareness. It has to be with understanding because it's there like heartlessism as it is, but no understanding of the truth of it. Different from moment of hearing and considering and then beginning to understand in words until the understanding is strong enough to understand by conditions when it's there. And then there is the understanding. It means that there is satipatthana or direct awareness at that very moment. But thinking in words is there until the characteristic of that appears as different one. Sati is not panya. That's why panya can understand the truth, how much understanding is there at the beginning of the direct awareness. Only very little in the beginning. It depends on whether it's more than the other by conditions in the past. Who knows? Everything is unknown or anatta. But the truth is known from hearing about it, considered wisely about each word, like pasha. See, it's there, nama. That is not enough. Everyone knows by hearing that it's just that which is Cetasika and so on, but only the names, but its function is there as now, anatta. We wish to see that, to have that to be seen as one's own property or possession. But see, that is thinking, and one can change it because it's there by conditions, or are conditions to be such and such. That's why it can bring more compassion to anyone who somewhat might dislike that person so much because of his akusala, but the understanding knows that no one at all. It's only just a reality condition to arise and then gone. It can condition more and more wholesomeness because of the understanding. So understand one word at a time as it is better and better by way of different aspects, by way of some paticca is there, see? Not just learning from that to this, from that to this, from that to this, that's all. It's not that to understand what we just talked of, paticca samuppada, depending on the each, whatever is there. Conditions are different. So, is there any question about Pasha? Is it now? To know that it's there from hearing, considering, but whether it can be the direct object of direct awareness or not, depending on conditions. See? It's so very difficult, so subtle that no one can know that life goes on by conditions. No one at all. No matter what we're talking about, it has to be known as different realities. So what are there now? See, many things not directly known as a moment of direct awareness with understanding. When we talk about direct awareness, it has to be with understanding. Otherwise, no understanding. This is the different level of understanding. For example, without understanding at all, hardness appears as it is. That which experiences is experiencing hardness at the moment when it's there, unknown. See? So it's a very daily life. Nobody can change it or have it to arise at will at all, or by practicing. See? Because what is practicing? No one there is not known that actually what is there? Wrong understanding of what? Wrong viri, michasam vayamo, wrong vitaka, see, michasankapo. See, different levels by different words to explain the difference between each one at each moment. So hardness without understanding, can it appear as object as it is at that very moment? No one, nothing, only hardness, which the beginning of understanding was meant by just one moment at a time, conditioned moment. And understanding is there to understand that object as it is, as usual. But in a day, no understanding as usual. But in a day, some understanding is there as usual until the direct awareness experiences as usual. But understanding is there. When there's no understanding yet now, and for those who haven't heard at all, no conditions to understand that. But the object is actually natural. And this is the subtleness of all the Ariya Satya, the Four Noble Truths. The path is so very subtle. Who knows that each moment of understanding is the way, the path leading to more and more understanding until it can directly experience the object as it is, as no one there. But as long as it's I, it's not the understanding of Dhamma as Dhamma. Is there Patsa now?
Yes, Ajahn.
Is there Lopa now?
Certainly, yes.
So they are not known, right? The same reality. Realities are, is a reality. Until when it appears to Panya directly, it's known of that object, but not the other yet. That's why it has to develop more and more to have no doubt about any reality in a day as just a reality gone all the time. It's there only when it appears, but actually in truth, even it appears the many processes arising and falling away, not just one. If this is not known as the truth, there's no way to let go the idea of self. It's there all the time, deeply. So only oneself can know how much understanding from hearing and considering to be satya, the truth, as it is. And that's the way to develop because of understanding the truth of how much understanding is of this moment of such and such reality which is now appearing. And there's doubt about it's there by condition and it has its own characteristic, but it's not known yet as just a reality. It is always known as something. Without understanding, it's impossible to let go the idea of something. That's why each moment of understanding is so very precious. Even if so very little, it will be accumulated by each moment of understanding from moment to moment. And this is how long will it take to understand the truth of whatever appears now. By then, one can see the great wisdom of Samma Sambuddha. Without his word, from his enlightenment, no one can have even understanding intellectually, which is the beginning of more and more higher and higher understanding of the truth. By conditions, one day, the truth will appear to Panya. So what appears now is not to Panya yet, as it is. So one can understand what's meant by intellectual understanding and direct awareness and direct understanding. The same, but more and more clear and clear. Is there Lopa now?
Yeah, Achan, you asked that also before. So, and then you asked the question: is there hardness now? It
Yes.
appears that hardness is more obvious than Lopa because it's hard.
That is thinking, but ignorance about them are equal, right?
Oh, I guess so.
Understanding the truth of hardness, not understanding the truth of Lopa, exactly the same.
But it does appear that hardness is more obvious. I mean,
Really, really, what about the I? Does not appear at all, but it's there, deeper.
I, as in me, you mean?
Mm-hmm. All day. I, me, all day.
Hardness is hard and Loba clings. So you say hardness is because it's hard. Well, Loba because it clings all day.
Yes, and I is there all day also.
So listen again, 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 with understanding, not just remembering the word and think that I know Pasha is not me. That is not right. Just knowing, learning, and then forget. It's life. What about next life? No hearing about this, no understanding. And that the idea is there when there is hearing. See, so Panya knows the difference between different level of Panya. But the aim, the goal, the point is to understand the truth, not just by hearing and thinking about it, but to direct experience the nature of it as it is, more confident about the truth of what is said. Otherwise, there's no way of letting go and the eradication of all akusa, little by little, more and more, until it can perform the function of eradication of I now, I all day. So Panya is the best reality of all realities. Would you like to have the I from now on and on and on and on, non-stop?
No.
But without Panya, one cannot see the danger of have wrong understanding, which will bring more and more akusala, more and more ignorance. So see the danger of not understanding the truth. Condition the beginning of hearing and consider wisely to understand that Panya is that which understands. It's not that which remembers the word or the term. Can you have such Panya at once or now? Impossible. That's why consider each word to understand its truth will bring more and more understanding of that which is there now, little by little. For example, seeing, see, how come to know that it's not self? It's only that which experiences that which is seen, no matter what we call it, what is seen or what is there as color or different words, the actual characteristic which is experienced is there to be known beyond words. No thought about how to use different words to understand it. It's not like that. The characteristic of that, no matter what you use the word, it's there as it is, as no one and nothing at all, because it's so short. It appears as that which is seen. We begin to understand more confidence on what is seen cannot be anything, only that which is seen, that can be seen when it's there. As no thing in it, no flower, no table, no legs, see, no arms, no eyes, no head. And this can be accumulated little by little, unknowingly, until right understanding becomes a little more. It can be the object of understanding that is not self. Even understanding is not self. Nothing can be taken for self because it's there so short in a moment and then gone completely. And this is the only way to understand the Buddha, who was he, and the Dhamma, the truth, what he had directly experienced and enlightened the truth of whatever it's now. No matter in what life, what moment, the truth is there. Unknown, as it is not self, until there's more understanding from hearing and considering. Panya develops all the time, each moment of understanding, little by little. Now, see, not me. That's why Buddha taught about Sankhara Khanda and Sankhara of Paticca Samuppada. Samuppada is Kamma. Intl.Dhamma means that which arises by conditions, no matter what, Nama and Rupa. But Sankhara Khanda means only 50 Cetasikas only. And then Sankhara in Paticca Samuppada, it's only Kamma. No one there. A little bit of understanding from this moment or that moment, condition, a little more understanding until it appears as direct awareness with understanding, the beginning of developing more understanding of understanding the characteristic with direct awareness. Otherwise, we just use the word satipatthana, sati sampajanya, but its characteristic is not there to be known yet, as long as not enough conditions, intellectual understanding, more confident on the truth that is now. So understanding the truth of this moment is the understanding of Paramada-Dhamma, or absolute reality, or no one at all. It has to be now. Without expectation. Everything arises unexpectedly by conditions. And the truth is beyond the word. But the reality is there, like that which is seen now. So understanding the truth, when the characteristic of the truth appears as no one, it's like seeing what is there now. But understanding understands it just like this. So the most precious moment is at the moment of understanding, see? From what? Discussion, considering what is heard, what is there. Little by little. Is there just a little bit more understanding? See, it has to be as it is. It's different from moment when we do not talk about it, right? That is the development of panya.
Ajahn, for me, there's a lot of attachment for these discussions. I really look forward to my Saturday evening and Monday morning. But I also think there's not just attachment, because each time I listen, I'm sure there's more understanding of the way things are, of the truth of realities. I appreciate very much you giving so much of your time to us. Anumodana ka.
Thank you. I appreciate in your understanding.
Thank you.
There must be conditions to hear and to think and to understand. See? So many people do not have such conditions, even to hear the right words and to think wisely. That's why reality cannot be easily known and understood, because ignorance are there all the time, from moment to moment, from life to life. That's why it has to be patience, khanti parami, to know the way to develop the understanding. With the understanding, if no one can do anything, each moment depends on conditions, whether it's right understanding or wrong understanding, or very little understanding or more understanding. It all depends on conditions. That's why it's more difficult, because there is no one who can do anything depending on conditions. But understanding knows that what is conditioned for understanding to develop. And whether it develops or not, depending on conditions too. Very profound to understand that actually there's no one. Thinking with lopa is there, but you cannot condition understanding. But thinking that nothing can be done because actually there's no one, but there are conditions for understanding to arise unexpectedly. How much is there? Unknown, see, but it develops little by little. From moment to moment, like avijja, ignorance is there from moment to moment. And instead of avijja, it is understanding, opposite of not understanding, little by little. Against the current of ignorance and attachment.
That's a good image to have against the current of ignorance and attachment. Because we're swept away all the time by ignorance and attachment. And without having heard the Dhamma, we'd have no idea.
So when someone else is there, personal panyano, see, even it does not appear as no self yet, but the understanding of it's not me, it's pasha, which contacts the citta to the object. So citta experiences that. They arise together. Not as the pasha citta arise, it's impossible because pasha contacts what? Citta experience that instantly together. Because pasha arises in false way as well. So this is the reason why they have to arise together, experience the same object.
And talking about being swept away, that's why the Buddha taught about the flood, the ogres
Yes.
of attachment, ignorance, wrong
Yeah.
view.
I thought about swept away by the current, yeah.
Is everything so subtle to be understood? Even if there now, no understanding enough to experience that anatta, no one there at all.
Thank you, Ajahn.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ
Take care.
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you.
See you all next time.
Bye-bye.